Hello and welcome to another night shift. My name is Yazil, and today we want to work more on our character window. And as you can see, we got different backgrounds here. And of course, as I told you already, we do this in this video. We only can put different item or specific item into specific slots. For example, we got a vendor jacket, and the jacket, of course, just goes only here in our armor slot for the weapon for the jackets, and of course the X just goes into the weapon slot here, and just don't fits in any other slots. Of course, the slots here are full stackable, so if we have a slot with potions as a base, we can add more potions here. For that, we start with making these icons, and I'm going to stop that. And here in our panel, or in our images, we got a slot image, or not an image, it's a sprite actually. And we want to add something here, and I do that with PaintNet. So we just have it here. You see here is the background image, and I just added the different styles I want to have in the background. So, for example, that's the trousers. I want to see the hands, and I saved that into Unity or into the file. And when I did that, I have here the different images, and the different images you just have to change them from normal to sprite, and and set the alpha as transparent and or transparent, and the rest is just as it comes with the saving or the import of these images. That's quite easy, so you just have to do a little graphic works, and you have these slots here, or these images, and to have them in the game and have them as a reference, we need to have our char slot position database extend with the slot icon. So what we're going to do is we just going for our inventory position, and going there and add a public sprite slot icon there. So just to do that and save that, and your database will be expanded with this slot. Okay, that's finished. We going to leave there, and the next thing is you have to fill your database with the slots, of course. So if you define your slot should be in head armor, you just go here and looking for your image you have here. So I'm going for the head armor or the slot head as a background, and that's all we want to do here. The next is when we think about it, we have to make sure that our slots are fixed, so we have to take care of that. So if we have something like this slot is fixed, we only let these item types into the slot. Also, we have to take care of if we want to swap an item, we have to make sure the item we want to swap in is also from the same item type. And then, of course, we have to take care of the background. So if we put in an item, the background should be vanished and to the plain slot background. So for that, we work today with the item drag, the slot, and the inventory C# script. Let's start with the slot. So in the slot, we need the inventory position database. So we have that to access when we want to know data about that. And then we want to have the default icon for the slot. So default background, it's just public sprite, and call it whatever you want. And of course, we have to have these bool fixed slot. So the normal case is just it's false. So the normal case is we don't have any fixed slots. Then we want to have access to the image of these slots. So let me go for the slot. It is here. And we want to have access to these image script. So we just going for private image, my image, and in our start function, we just grab that as a reference. So my image is equals to get component image. So we have that also. So that we all know, and here it starts the magic. So no, here starts the magic. No, that's right here. My image.sprite is equal to slot default icon. So if we swapped something away, or we just made the field empty, we want to make sure when we spawn an image or we spawn the icons in our inventory, we want to make sure the background is going to default icon. So we have the plain plain slot without any image behind it. So, and if that's not the true, so if we have nothing in here, so our image database has no item in it, then we want to check if it's a fixed slot. So if fixed slot is true, we want to go and say my image.sprite is an inventory position .item slot id .slot slot icon. So we just set let's go to our database. We just set this icon then, and then that's all for the spawning the items out of the database. So next is when we drop something on this slot. So if we grab something and the drop with putting it in on the item, we want to make sure that it works. So we have to decide if it's a fixed slot or not. So if it's not fixed slot, also if it's not the case that it's set it, we just want to have it in the old style, just this one. And if it's a fixed slot, then we want to make sure that our item we drag there has the same item type. From there, we're going to the inventory position database.item slot id.item type. So in our position database, we grab the item with the same slot ID and take the item type there. And if it's equal to the item database.item item to drag .item ID, so we grab the item ID from the item we have on the cursor, and we're going to look into the item type there also. So if it's equal, we just do the same than we did here before. If it's not, it's just happen or just nothing happens, so the item will be flipped back to the old position. Okay, that's it for the slot. And I think the next we're going to the inventory, so for the create of the slot lists. And for that, we have also a public sprite slot default icon. I just put it in here so we can define it and we can spread off that to all our slots. And that's it. That's all old. No, that's not all old. It's here in build our inventory. We had in the last video the slot position out of database, and in this if case, we just make another if statement and we say if slot type out of database. So if our slot type is defined out of our database, we do something that gives you the possibility to just uncheck that. So if you have or want to have a normal inventory without fixed positions, so you can have the positions out of the database, but not the fixed slots for the type. So in there we just say my slot dot fixed slot is true, and that for the thing to be true, so we can decide if the slot is fixed or not. And after that, we just put in the stuff into the slot, and that slot default icon, we set that to our slot default icon, and the inventory position database to the inventory position database. So now our slot script knows if it's fixed or not, and it knows if it's slot default icons, and it knows the inventory position database. So that's for the inventory script. You can close that also. Yeah, save that. And now we are coming to our drag item, or item drag. And in our item drag, let's see what we changed there. Nothing here, nothing there. But we changed, of course, let's go here. We changed the on drop function. So if something drops on our item, we want to do something. And this is an old stuff. We had that before. We cache the items we need, but we want to have access to the slot. And for that, we cache the slot and we say slot is my slot is equal to GameObject.get component in parent and slot. So we want to know the slot in our parent. So we can check if it's a fixed slot or not. And if it's not the fixed slot, we just leave these thing we had before just untouched and we do nothing with it. But if it's the case, so if it's my slot is a fixed slot, we gonna check if it's the same item type. So we're going for if my slot dot inventory position database dot item in my slot dot slot ID dot item type is equal to the item database dot item ID dot item type. So we look for our item type in our inventory position database and look if it's in the item database if the item has the same item type. So basically the same we had in the slot already. So, and this part is again just that what we had before here. So it's nothing changes there. We just make sure we can only drop or swap items when the item type is the same. So that's all. And on the last part, the destroy just stays the same. So again, just copy these part in two and make a new if case here and a new if case there. Here is just to make sure it's not a fixed it's a fixed slot or not a fixed slot, and here just to make sure we have the same item type of these things. So that's all we changed. Nothing too biggie. Just make sure you have the right brackets here, and you should be fine there. So for the part what could be going wrong, you have to make sure your jar slot database is filled with the right item type. Also, you have to make sure your inventories are set with all the slots, and also you have to make sure your items, if you go to the item editor, that your items have the right item type here. For example, body armor. On the new X is a one-hand weapon. So yeah, that is all I think about what could go wrong. Maybe one thing could be go wrong if you have the wrong numbers here. You have to have the 16 and the stuff here on the same number, and in the slot position 16, and in this char slot 16 also. That's very important because you get an error there. So I think that's for the tips. So if you liked it, leave a like message. If you liked it even more, just hit the subscribe button. And thanks for tuning in. See you soon. Your Yazil.